everyone, welcome back to Daily English Talk. I'm Harry.
And I'm Emma.
On this channel, we practice real-life English with simple, natural conversations you can actually use in your daily life.
We don't just teach words, we help you speak with better flow, clearer answers, and more confidence in real situations.
Today's topic is workday, because everyone needs English for meetings, messages, deadlines, and those I'm exhausted moments.
You'll learn how to describe your day naturally, ask better questions, and respond in a way that sounds professional but still friendly.
All right, if you're ready, let's jump into today's lesson. Hey, I'm glad you could make it.
Me too. I really needed a quiet place today.
This upstairs corner feels calm. No pressure, no noise, just space to breathe.
Yeah, the light is warm and it makes everything slow down a little.
You look a bit tired. Not I stayed up late tired, more like my brain didn't stop all day tired.
That's exactly it. My body was working, but my mind was carrying too much.
Same. I kept moving from one thing to the next, and even when I sat down, I still felt rushed.
Did you have one of those days where everything looks small, but it never stops coming?
Yeah, that kind of day.
Okay, then today's topic is perfect because it's real life for a lot of people.
Exactly. Today, we're talking about a workday, but in a human way, not in a robotic way.
Like how to describe your day clearly, how to answer smoothly, and how to sound professional without sounding cold.
And also how to talk about pressure, meetings, messages, deadlines, without making it dramatic.
So let's do it like two people catching up after work. One story, real details, and useful English you can copy.
All right, I'll start with my morning, because that's where the tone of the whole day was set.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
I'm genuinely glad we made it to this cafe, because my workday felt like a long sprint, and I needed a quiet place to finally breathe.
I feel the exact same way because all day my brain was switching between tasks, people, and messages, and now I just want one calm conversation.
Before we even talk about the details, can I just say that you look like someone who carried a lot today, but still tried to stay professional?
That is painfully accurate because I smiled in meetings, answered politely, and meanwhile I was counting the minutes until I could sit down and reset.
Let's do this like a real catch-up, where we tell the story in a way that feels natural, not like a boring list of tasks.
Deal, and I want to hear yours too because sometimes the way someone describes their day teaches you better English than any textbook.
My morning started earlier than usual, but even with the extra time, I felt rushed because my mind was already running through what I had to deliver.
That mind-running feeling is so real because you're technically awake, but emotionally you're already at work, handling problems in your head.
I made coffee, looked at my calendar, and realized the day was packed with meetings, which meant my actual work needed a clear plan.
When a calendar looks like that, you can't just work harder. You have to work smarter, or you'll feel busy and still get nothing done.
I told myself I would keep my communication simple, stay calm, and avoid sounding stressed because stress spreads fast in a workplace.
I love that because a calm tone is almost like a skill, and it makes people trust you even when the situation is messy.
On the way in, the commute was slower than expected, and I could feel that tiny panic trying to show up, so I breathed and adjusted.
That's a great moment to learn English too, because instead of saying I was late, you can say traffic was heavy, so I arrived a bit later.
Exactly, and when I arrived, I greeted people warmly because those first 10 seconds set the tone for the whole day.
I always do that too, because even if you feel stressed inside, a friendly greeting keeps your relationship strong at work.
A coworker came over and started explaining a problem, and I didn't want to cut him off, but I also needed to protect my time.
That balance is tricky, so the best English is something like, I can help, but I'm heading into a meeting soon. What's the main issue?
That's exactly what I said, and it worked because he summarized quickly, I gave one suggestion, and we agreed to follow up later.
That's such a professional interaction because it keeps things moving without making the other person feel ignored.
The first meeting started with long updates, and honestly, I felt impatient, but I stayed present because I needed one clear decision.
That's the reality of work, and the English you need there is phrases like, to keep it short, or can we align on the next step?
When it was my turn, I spoke in a simple structure: what I finished, what was blocked, and what support I needed.
That structure is gold because it makes you sound organized and it keeps the conversation from drifting into confusion.
After the meeting, I sat at my desk thinking I would finally do deep work, and then my inbox exploded with urgent messages.
The inbox explosion is a universal experience, and it's where people often sound panicked, so calm English matters even more.
I saw words like ASAP and urgent, and I forced myself to pause because reacting too fast is how mistakes happen.
That pause is powerful, and you can say, I saw your message, let me check my schedule and get back to you shortly.
I made a short priority list because I learned that a huge list makes you feel defeated before you even start.
If you want natural English here, you can say, I'm prioritizing 3 things right now, and I'll circle back after I finish them.
The morning turned into a blur of small decisions, quick replies, and trying to stay kind even when I felt pressure.
I love that you said stay kind, because work English isn't only grammar, it's also tone, respect, and emotional control.
Around midday, I realized I hadn't stood up for hours, so I stepped away to reset my body and stop my thoughts from racing.
That's a great habit, and you can casually tell a coworker, I'm going to take a quick break and then I'll be right back.
Lunch was simple, but it helped, and I reminded myself that progress matters more than perfection on a busy day.
That sentence is a mindset shift, and it keeps you from spiraling when the day doesn't go exactly as planned.
In the afternoon, I had to finish a report, but people kept interrupting, and I could feel my focus breaking into pieces.
That's when clear boundaries help, and you can say, can I get 1 hour of uninterrupted focus? I'll reply right after.
I used that line, and it felt surprisingly good because it was honest, polite, and it protected my work.
People respect you more when you communicate clearly because it shows you're not avoiding them, you're managing time.
The report took longer than expected, and I had to rewrite parts, but I stayed steady and didn't let frustration take over.
That's a great emotional skill, and in English you can describe it as, I stayed calm and worked through it.
When I finally finished, I didn't feel excited. I felt relieved, like I could exhale for the first time all day.
That's such a human line, and I could finally exhale sounds natural and expressive in English.
Before leaving, I looked at tomorrow's schedule, wrote a short note for myself, and decided to end the day with a clean mind.
Ending the day well is a skill too, because if you carry stress home, it turns into exhaustion that lasts for weeks.
After work, I felt tired but proud because I handled a lot without snapping at anyone or losing control.
That's a perfect workday outcome, because sometimes success is simply staying steady and finishing what truly matters.
Now I'm curious about your day because you hinted earlier that you had a lot to carry, and I want the full story.
My day started with confidence, but within an hour it turned into a chain of small problems that kept stealing my attention.
That sounds like the kind of day where you keep solving things, but you never feel done, and your brain stays on high alert.
Exactly. And the hardest part was that each problem looked small alone, but together they made me feel overwhelmed.
Walk me through it in a story way, like this morning, around noon, and in the afternoon, so viewers can copy your structure.
This morning, I came in ready to work, but I got pulled into an unexpected discussion that immediately shifted my priorities.
Unexpected discussions are tricky because you want to be helpful, but you also don't want to lose your plan for the day.
I tried to manage it politely, so I said, I can talk now, but I only have 15 minutes. What do we need to decide?
That's excellent English because you sound cooperative while setting a clear time limit, and that's a big workplace skill.
The conversation stayed focused, but afterward my mind felt scattered, so I had to regroup and rebuild my task list.
When you regroup, a natural line is, let me take a moment to reorganize, and then I'll share my updated plan.
Around noon, I had a meeting that was emotionally heavy because a teammate was frustrated, and the tension was obvious.
That kind of meeting requires careful English because you want to acknowledge feelings without making things worse.
I said something like, I hear you and I understand why this feels frustrating. Let's focus on what we can do next.
That's a strong professional sentence because it validates the person, then guides the room toward a solution.
After the meeting, I felt drained, but I also felt proud because I stayed calm and didn't let the mood pull me down.
That's exactly what many viewers need. English that helps you stay calm, not just English that sounds correct.
In the afternoon, I had a deadline, and I kept getting messages that started with quick question, which was never quick.
That phrase is almost a joke at work, and a polite response is, I'm on a deadline. Can we talk after 3 p.m.?
I used something similar, and it saved my focus because once I protected time, my work finally moved forward.
So your day was intense, but you handled it with calm communication and boundaries, which is honestly impressive.
Thanks. And I think that's the secret of a good workday. You can be busy, but you don't have to be chaotic.
Viewers, now we'll pull out the most useful English and we'll show you how to ask and answer in a way that feels warm and real.
A common mistake is asking short questions like busy or hard because the other person doesn't know how to expand.
Instead, ask a longer question that gives choices, like, was your workday calm or did it feel non-stop from morning to afternoon?
That question invites a story, and stories are where real English happens because you connect events with feelings.
Another great question is, what was the moment that made you think you needed a break, even just for 5 minutes?
And if you want to sound supportive, you can add, you don't have to explain everything, but I'm here if you want to talk.
Now, let's teach the answer format that makes you sound natural. Time, main event, feeling, and a small conclusion.
Here is a strong answer. This morning was packed with meetings. I felt a bit stressed, but I stayed organized and got the key work done.
Notice you don't sound dramatic, but you still sound human, and that's what keeps conversations going, at work and in life.
Let's build a few workday phrases that viewers can steal immediately and use tomorrow without changing anything.
Phrase 1. My calendar was packed, so I had to prioritize carefully.
Phrase 2. My inbox blew up, but I paused before I replied, so I didn't make careless mistakes.
Phrase 3. I was on a deadline, so I asked for 1 hour of uninterrupted focus.
Phrase 4. I set a polite boundary, and it helped me stay productive without sounding rude.
Phrase 5. By the end of the day, I felt tired but relieved because the main tasks were handled.
Now, let's teach the polite boundary sentences, because this is where many learners either sound too soft or too harsh.
If someone asks, do you have a minute, you can say, I do, but I'm heading into a meeting. Can you summarize the main point?
That sentence is friendly, but it guides the person to be brief, and it protects your schedule at the same time.
If you are truly busy, you can say, I'm on a deadline right now, but I can talk after 3. Does that work for you?
Adding, does that work for you, makes it feel like teamwork, not rejection, which is very important in workplace culture.
Now we'll practice email and chat replies because many viewers work in English and need short but polite messages.
A simple reply is, thanks for the update. I'm reviewing this now, and I'll get back to you shortly with my feedback.
Another one is, I saw your message. I'm tied up at the moment, but I'll respond as soon as I'm free.
And if you need clarity, you can ask, just to confirm, do you need this by end of day or is tomorrow morning okay?
That confirmation question is great because it prevents misunderstandings and it shows responsibility rather than panic.
Now let's do a realistic role play where one of us is busy and the other needs help, and we keep the tone respectful.
Imagine, I'm your coworker and I say, do you have a minute? I'm stuck and I need your input.
I would answer, I can help, but I'm in the middle of something. Can you tell me the main issue in one sentence?
Then I say, the client changed the requirements and now our plan doesn't match what they want.
I would respond, okay, that's helpful. Give me 10 minutes to look at the new requirements and then I'll suggest the next step.
Notice how Emma didn't say, I'm busy. She offered a clear timeline, and that sounds competent and kind.
Now let's switch, because sometimes you need to deliver bad news in a calm way, like, I can't finish this today.
A great sentence is, I made progress, but I won't be able to finish by end of day. Can we adjust the timeline?
That sentence is honest, professional, and solution-focused, which is exactly how strong workplace English sounds.
Now, we'll give viewers a workday mini-script they can copy so they can talk about their day without freezing.
Try this. This morning I had meetings. This afternoon I focused on my main tasks, and now I feel relieved because I handled the priorities.
If your day was stressful, add, it was a bit stressful, but I stayed calm and worked through it.
And if you want to sound positive, add, one thing I'm proud of is that I finished the key part without rushing.
Now let's do a longer practice conversation, because real-life English isn't one sentence, it's a flow of questions and answers.
Now let's do a longer practice conversation because real-life English isn't one sentence, it's a flow of questions and answers.
I would answer, it was busy but manageable because I prioritized 3 tasks, communicated clearly, and didn't let urgent messages control my mood.
Then I would follow up with, what was the most stressful moment and what did you do to keep yourself steady?
I would say, the moment my inbox blew up, I paused, breathed, and replied with calm sentences instead of reacting emotionally.
That answer teaches viewers a key skill. You can't always control work, but you can control the way you speak.
Exactly. And now I'll ask you a real question. What was the one thing that drained you the most today?
The emotional meeting drained me the most because tension in a room makes you work twice as hard, once for tasks and once for the atmosphere.
That is such a strong line, and viewers can copy it when they need to explain why they're tired without sounding lazy.
And if you want to sound polite and supportive, you can say, I hear you and I understand why this feels frustrating. Let's focus on what we can do next.
Now we'll do a micro drill where we practice long answers because short answers kill the conversation and reduce speaking practice.
Now let's do a micro drill where we practice long answers because short answers kill the conversation and reduce speaking practice.
Okay, I'm ready. And I'll try to sound natural, not robotic.
First, how did your morning start and what made it feel busy right away?
This morning started with a packed calendar, so I came in focused, felt a little pressure, and decided to prioritize before I replied to anyone.
Second, what interrupted you the most and how did you protect your focus without being rude?
I got interrupted by quick questions, so I politely asked for one uninterrupted hour, and it helped me finish my report without frustration.
Third, how did your day end and what emotion did you carry out of the office?
By the end, I felt tired, but relieved because I wrapped up the priorities and left with a clear plan for tomorrow.
That's excellent because it sounds like real life, and it includes the kind of detail that makes English feel alive.
Now we'll do the same drill for you, and I want you to answer with calm confidence, even if your day was hard.
Question 1. What happened first thing this morning that changed your plan?
This morning, I got pulled into an unexpected discussion, felt my priorities shift, and then I regrouped by rebuilding my task list with 3 main goals.
That's a perfect work answer because it shows control, and it also shows you didn't blame anyone, you just adjusted.
Question 2. What was the most emotionally difficult moment, and what did you say to keep the room calm?
The emotionally difficult moment was a tense meeting, so I acknowledged the frustration and guided the team toward a next step without escalating.
Beautiful, because it's not only English, it's leadership language, and leadership is mostly communication. Question 3. What helped you finish your deadline, and how did you set boundaries in a polite way?
I protected an hour of focus by telling people I was on a deadline, and after that, my work finally moved forward and I felt relieved.
Great job. And viewers, if you can produce answers like that, you can handle work small talk and deeper conversations easily.
Now we'll add the work vocabulary that makes you sound more fluent without using complicated grammar.
Try these verbs: prioritize, follow up, wrap up, regroup, handle, and circle back, because they are everywhere in offices.
And these phrases: back-to-back meetings, tight deadline, quick check-in, on my plate, and blocked by.
Let's put them into full sentences that sound natural, so you don't just memorize words without context.
I had back-to-back meetings, so I prioritized the top 3 tasks and followed up after I got some breathing room.
I'm on a tight deadline, so I need 1 hour of focus, and then I'll circle back and respond to everything.
I'm blocked by missing information, so I need clarification before I can move forward with the task.
Now we'll do a short after-work conversation role play because many people talk about work after work, and it's great speaking practice.
I'll start. You look like your brain is still at the office. Do you want to talk about what happened today, or do you want to decompress first?
I'll answer. I'd love to talk a bit because describing it helps me let it go, and then I can actually relax.
Then I ask, if you had to describe your day in one sentence, what would it be, and why does that sentence feel true?
I would say, it was busy but manageable because I stayed organized, communicated clearly, and didn't lose my temper when things got urgent.
That "didn't lose my temper" line is so useful because it shows emotional control, which is impressive in any language.
That didn't lose my temper line is so useful because it shows emotional control, which is impressive in any language.
I wish I had protected my focus earlier, and tomorrow I'll set boundaries sooner so I don't feel scattered by constant interruptions.
That answer is future-focused and practical, and it's the kind of English that sounds mature and thoughtful.
Now we'll help viewers practice with a fill-in template because templates make speaking easier when you feel nervous.
Template. Today at work, I had to blank, and I felt blank, but I managed it by blank, so in the end, I felt blank.
Let's demonstrate a full example that sounds natural and not like a school exercise.
Today at work, I had to juggle meetings and urgent messages, and I felt pressured, but I managed it by prioritizing and setting boundaries, so in the end, I felt relieved.
Here's mine. Today at work, I handled a tense meeting and a tight deadline, and I felt drained, but I stayed calm and focused on next steps, so in the end, I felt proud.
Viewers, you can copy those and swap the details, and suddenly you have a full conversation without freezing.
Now we'll practice 5 follow-up questions that keep the conversation moving because follow-ups are the secret to sounding fluent.
Follow-up 1. What was the hardest part, and what made it challenging for you?
Follow-up 2. What did you do to stay calm when things got urgent?
Follow-up 3. What's one thing you're proud of finishing, even if the day wasn't perfect?
Follow-up 4. If you could redo one moment, what would you change and why?
Follow-up 5. What would make tomorrow easier, and how can you set yourself up for that?
Now we'll do a longer viewer practice sequence where we model answers that are not boring and not one-word responses.
I'll ask, what was the hardest part of your workday, and what did it cost you emotionally?
I'll answer. The hardest part was the tense meeting because it cost me energy to stay calm, listen carefully, and respond in a way that didn't escalate the situation.
Then I'll follow up. What did you do after that to recover and get back into work mode?
I would say, I took a short break, reorganized my tasks, and told myself to focus on the next step instead of replaying the tension.
That answer is very natural, and the phrase focus on the next step is especially useful at work.
Now I'll ask you, when your inbox blew up, what did you say to yourself so you didn't panic?
I would answer, I reminded myself that urgency is not always importance, so I paused, prioritized, and replied with calm sentences.
That is a very mature line, and it makes you sound like someone who can handle pressure professionally.
Now we'll teach one more key skill, how to politely ask for clarity, because unclear tasks waste time and create stress.
You can say, just to make sure I'm on the same page, what does success look like for this task?
Or you can ask, do you want a quick draft first, or do you want a final version by end of day?
Those questions save you from rework, and they make you sound proactive instead of confused.
Now we'll do a realistic scenario. Your boss sends a vague message, and you need to respond politely and clearly.
The message is, can you handle the report? And that's all, which is confusing because you don't know the deadline or expectations.
A good reply is, yes, I can handle it. What's the deadline, and is there anything specific you want included?
That reply is respectful, confident, and clear, and it prevents you from guessing and doing the wrong thing.
Now we'll practice a meeting sentence that helps you sound confident when you speak, especially if English isn't your first language.
Try, to keep it short, here's where we are, here's what's blocking us, and here's what I suggest we do next.
That sentence gives you a roadmap, so you don't ramble and you sound organized even if you're nervous.
Now we'll do a quick practice. You pretend you're in a meeting and you give a short update using that structure.
I'll model. To keep it short, I've finished the draft, I'm blocked by missing data, and I suggest we confirm the numbers before noon.
And I'll model. To keep it short, the client changed requirements, we need alignment, and I suggest we confirm scope before we continue.
Viewers, these sentences are short, but they're not shallow because they communicate the right information in a calm way.
Now, since this episode is Workday, we should also teach how to end the day politely, especially when someone messages late.
A natural line is, I'm wrapping up for today, but I'll pick this up first thing tomorrow morning.
Another one is, I saw this at the end of the day, thanks, I'll respond tomorrow with an update.
Those lines protect your rest while keeping trust because you are not disappearing, you are communicating responsibly.
Now let's add an emotional after-work line, because people often ask how you feel, not just what you did.
Try, I'm tired, but I feel proud that I stayed steady and finished what mattered.
Or, I'm mentally drained, but I'm relieved because the deadline is handled and my mind can finally rest.
Now we'll do the final practice section where we simulate a full conversation you can copy word for word.
I'll start. Hey, you look like you had a long day. Do you want to talk about it, or do you want something relaxing first?
I'll answer, I'd like to talk for a minute because putting it into words helps me release the stress and actually move on.
Then I ask, if you had to describe your workday in one sentence, what would you say and what made it feel that way?
I say, it was busy but manageable because I prioritized, communicated clearly, and didn't let interruptions destroy my focus.
I follow up, what was the most urgent thing and how did you handle it without rushing into mistakes?
I answer, the urgent thing was a pile of messages, and I handled it by pausing, prioritizing, and replying in calm and clear sentences.
Then I ask, what's one thing you're proud of today, even if everything wasn't perfect?
I answer, I'm proud that I set boundaries politely and finished the main report without snapping at anyone.
That is a complete conversation, and if viewers practice it, they'll sound natural in daily life and in the workplace.
Now we'll do a final speed but meaningful practice where we give long answers quickly like real fluent speakers.
I'll ask, what made your day feel heavy and what helped you keep going anyway?
I answer, the heavy part was the constant urgency, but I kept going because I stayed organized, focused on priorities, and reminded myself progress is enough.
Then you ask me, what was the toughest moment and what did you say to keep the room calm?
I answer, the toughest moment was the tense meeting, and I said I understood the frustration, then guided everyone to focus on the next step.
Great, and viewers, this is what we want. Long, calm, clear English that sounds human, not perfect, but confident.
Now we'll close part 2 with a homework prompt that makes you speak in a real way, not just memorize words.
Homework template. Today at work, I felt blank, but I managed it by blank, and now I feel blank.
If you want a stronger version, add, one thing I'm proud of is blank, because blank.
If you want a calm boundary sentence, add, I'm on a deadline, so can we talk after blank?
And if you want a supportive sentence for others, add, I hear you, and I'm here. Let's figure out the next step together.
That combination gives you everything: story, feelings, boundaries, and support, which is basically real workplace communication.
Now, because this episode is Workday, we should also teach how to end the day politely, especially when someone messages late.
A natural line is, I'm wrapping up for today, but I'll pick this up first thing tomorrow morning. Another one is, I saw this at the end of the day, thanks, I'll respond tomorrow with an update.
Those lines protect your rest while keeping trust because you are not disappearing, you are communicating responsibly.
Now let's add an emotional after-work line, because people often ask how you feel, not just what you did.
Try, I'm tired, but I feel proud that I stayed steady and finished what mattered.
Or, I'm mentally drained, but I'm relieved because the deadline is handled and my mind can finally rest.
Now we'll do the final practice section where we simulate a full conversation you can copy word for word.
I'll start. Hey, you look like you had a long day. Do you want to talk about it, or do you want something relaxing first?
I'll answer, I'd like to talk for a minute because putting it into words helps me release the stress and actually move on.
Then I ask, if you had to describe your workday in one sentence, what would you say and what made it feel that way?
I say, it was busy but manageable because I prioritized, communicated clearly, and didn't let interruptions destroy my focus.
I follow up, what was the most urgent thing and how did you handle it without rushing into mistakes?
I answer, The urgent thing was a pile of messages, and I handled it by pausing, prioritizing, and replying in calm and clear sentences.
Then I ask, what's one thing you're proud of today, even if everything wasn't perfect?
I answer, I'm proud that I set boundaries politely and finished the main report without snapping at anyone.
That is a complete conversation, and if viewers practice it, they'll sound natural in daily life and in the workplace.
Now we'll do a final speed but meaningful practice where we give long answers quickly like real fluent speakers.
I'll ask, what made your day feel heavy, and what helped you keep going anyway?
I answer, the heavy part was the constant urgency, but I kept going because I stayed organized, focused on priorities, and reminded myself progress is enough.
Then you ask me, what was the toughest moment, and what did you say to keep the room calm?
I answer, the toughest moment was the tense meeting, and I said I understood the frustration, then guided everyone to focus on the next step.
Great. And viewers, this is what we want. Long, calm, clear English that sounds human, not perfect, but confident.
Now we'll close part 2 with a homework prompt that makes you speak in a real way, not just memorize words.
Homework template. Today at work, I blank, I felt blank, but I managed it by blank, and now I feel blank.
If you want a stronger version, add, one thing I'm proud of is blank because blank.
If you want a calm boundary sentence, add, I'm on a deadline, so can we talk after blank?
And if you want a supportive sentence for others, add, I hear you, and I'm here. Let's figure out the next step together.
That combination gives you everything: story, feelings, boundaries, and support, which is basically real workplace communication.
Now, because you asked for long, engaging lines, we'll do one final mini-story each using everything we learned.
Today at work, my calendar was packed and my inbox blew up, so I paused, prioritized, communicated clearly, and ended the day tired but relieved because the main tasks were handled.
Today at work, I handled an unexpected discussion, a tense meeting, and a tight deadline, but I stayed calm, set polite boundaries, and felt proud because I didn't let the stress control me.
Viewers, if you can say sentences like these, you can talk about your workday with confidence, and you'll sound natural to native speakers.
We're not aiming for perfect grammar in real life. We're aiming for clear meaning, natural rhythm, and a confident tone.
Now, let's do the last practice. We'll ask and answer like friends, but with professional vocabulary, so you get both worlds.
Harry, what part of your day would you change if you could? And what would you do differently to protect your energy?
I would protect my focus earlier by setting boundaries sooner, because once the day gets noisy, it takes much more effort to regain control.
That is a strong, reflective answer, and it helps viewers learn how to speak thoughtfully, not just report facts.
Emma, what's one thing that helped you stay calm in that tense meeting, even when you felt the pressure in the room?
I reminded myself to slow down my speech, listen fully before replying, and focus on solutions, because calm language can reshape the entire atmosphere.
That's powerful, and viewers can copy "slow down my speech" whenever they feel nervous speaking English at work.
Now we'll end part 2 with a clear invitation for practice, because practice is the reason you'll improve, not just watching.
Write your comment like a mini story and make it real, even if it's simple, because simple English used consistently becomes fluent English.
Use this. Today at work, I felt, but I managed it by, and now I feel, and don't worry about being perfect.
If you want, add one polite boundary sentence you used or wish you had used, because that's real workplace power.
And if you're tired right now, that's okay, because the goal is not to impress anyone, it's to build your speaking habit.
All right, we've covered a full workday story, useful phrases, boundaries, and practice. So now you have a complete toolkit.
And the best part is that you can use these sentences in real life tomorrow, because they are not fancy, they are practical.
Now we'll take a breath and smoothly move into the ending, so you leave this lesson feeling supported and motivated.
Great. And remember, you don't need perfect English to have a good workday. You need clear English and a calm tone. Thank you so much for staying with us through this long workday lesson, and I truly hope it made English feel easier and more real for you.
If you're tired right now, please remember that learning doesn't have to be intense to be effective. Consistency is what changes everything.
Leave your mini story in the comments using the template from Part 2, and we'll help you rewrite it into more natural English.
Like the video if it helped you. Subscribe if you want to keep practicing with us, and most importantly, be proud of your progress today.
All right, take care, rest well, and we'll see you next time.